Welcome to the Cyber Business Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and share their inspiring stories. Now, let's get started with the show.
Matthew Connor here, host of the Cyber Business Podcast. Today, we're joined by Stephen Ferraguti, Director of Information Technology at Hansen Properties. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Matthew, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Before we get too far in, a quick word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by cyberlinks.com. That's cyber, L-Y-N-X.com. Do you know if a hacker's in your system? Most people and most companies don't until it's too late and the hacker's already done damage. A hacker's job is to bypass your security, so companies need a way of knowing when someone's gotten past their security. That's where Cyberlinks comes in. We've partnered with the best cybersecurity companies in the world to be able to provide our clients with the best solutions at the best prices. So whether it's managed SIEM, SOC, EDR, MDR, XDR, you name it, we'll help you find the right solution at the right price. Find out more at cyberlinks.com. That's cyber, L-Y-N-X.com. And now back to our show. Stephen, for those who aren't familiar, can you tell us about Hansen Properties and your role there as Director of IT?
So Hansen Properties has been around for quite a long time. I believe the building itself was built in the 1700s, and it was built after the owner of the land and his wife visited Normandy, France, and they just saw the buildings, the style, and they came back here to Pennsylvania to mimic it. And they created this wonderful piece of property. It was originally a horse farm that was purchased back in, I believe, 1992, although I don't maybe want to quote myself on that one, by the Hansens. And they've spent a tremendous amount of time and effort turning it into a meticulous and beautiful hotel, conference center, and across the street, a country club as well. We do a lot of weddings. We have an on-site photographer, an on-site floral studio, and we do an amazing job here.
That's really cool. I mean, I think one of the things that really strikes me as kind of interesting is IT at that kind of, I don't want to say that level, but in that regard, at the kind of the hospitality level, where it's a different game, I think altogether than that of, let's say, traditional corporate IT, right? Where you have just offices and cubicles, great, and it's all right there. It's neatly in one building. I think in your particular case, you're dealing with with a lot more, if you will, kind of spread out, different characters, different everything. So I'd really like to kind of dive into IT, the actual kind of nuts and bolts of IT where you're at, and how that kind of differs from what I think a lot of people imagine or even deal with with IT in their corporate environment.
Sure, Matthew, you're 100% correct. I mean, one of the hardest things is juggling all the different needs. If we were in a normal Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 legal office, it would be a pretty straightforward thing. But as I said, we have the photography studio here. Now, photographers use a lot of high resolution raw images. They have a lot of backups, a lot of need for a NAS offsite backups. They have large files that need to be transferred, which is much different than the office, which we also have, right? Full of the accountants and administrators who have a bunch of tiny little files that need to be done, Word documents, 2-page things here or there. Not to mention our guests, which have a unique range. Monday through Friday, we see a lot of corporate guests, where on the weekends, we see a lot of wedding guests, and there's a lot of different needs, although everybody needs to stream the Eagles game when they're on. So
yeah, go Birds.
Yeah, go Birds. That one's real. But yeah, no, we utilize a lot of VLANs, and we do a lot of layer 3 kind of networking to keep everything moving properly, to keep everything kind of in its right place. That way we can kind of manage the large files and the small files and everything in between.
Yeah. Well, and then with the hotel guests, you're now no longer that 9 to 5, but you've got people at all hours, wanting their internet to be up, and the hotel's got to check people in at random hours. And so that becomes an additional, kind of almost, I would think, almost 24-hour kind of stressor on IT. Is that about right?
It absolutely is a 24-hour a day process. And I mean, with just the normal day to day of night audit running at the front desk to cut over the day to the next day, the process that takes that happens around 2 o'clock in the morning. We have after parties for weddings that are in the bar until, again, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But yes, it is a 24-hour a day kind of deal. And I think from the day to day, that's easy to kind of look at and remember. The hard part is going to be on those instances where it's needed, right? I was working during Superstorm Sandy, however many years ago when that
Yeah.
came through. And, the hotel was used as a place for people to come if they needed a place to stay in an emergency situation, right? It
Yeah.
was a place where Pico and the different utility companies came to meet to be able to talk and to be able to coordinate their work and their help. Having backups, having reliable backups, having emergency situations and things ready to go is so imperative that when those instances do happen, I know we can pivot and transition and go from just the happy holiday, the happy weekend, and the wedding ceremonies to the emergency situations where even at 2 o'clock in the morning you have reliable internet to be able to get out and do the things you need to do. When people are traveling during a snowstorm, a lot of times they travel from places where they're not used to snow or they just don't have it. So
Yeah.
being stuck inside for 2, 3 days, having reliable TV, reliable internet while they're out of their comfort zone or, stuck in a place that's unfamiliar, they don't necessarily have anywhere to go is really important. And I know it sounds crazy, like in the middle of a snowstorm or in the middle of Superstorm Sandy to make sure the TV's working, but you'll be surprised how important those little touches, those little moments of feeling like home are, especially when you're traveling.
Well, and I mean, you're talking about hospitality. So now it's the reputation of the organization. When somebody can sit inside and they're happy, their internet's working, the TV, everything works nicely, the food is coming, everything happens beautifully. Great. They're comfortable, even though they're outside of their normal location. And I think that's kind of paramount when it comes to the hospitality industry to be able to provide that comfortable, enjoyable experience. And without IT, it's not nearly as comfortable. I mean, there are some excursions where that's what people are trying to get, but for the most part, they want to be able to stream their shows and work on their laptop or whatever it may be. And so I think IT is in a crucial part of that kind of customer service and that hospitality experience.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that because, truth be told, IT and hospitality is a very rare thing to find.
Mhm.
Most hotels, most restaurants, you won't find an on-staff IT person. Most
Good
of
point.
that stuff is done through MSPs. Most of that stuff is done through third-party companies or especially for the bigger guys like the Hiltons and whatnot. They have contracts where they contract out the IT stuff and the Wi-Fi and this and all of that to where even as customers, the front desk agent will give you if you have a problem, call this 1-800 number. They'll be able to take care of your internet. And,
Yeah.
it, I feel like that as a person who travels a great amount myself and I understand the world of hospitality internationally, I can't have that for what we do here. Like you said, there's a personal part that is just so important to what defines hospitality that having us on site as an IT staff is invaluable in those moments and can really elevate it. And it's not something that's seen or really advertised or something we really push. We just feel like it's should be part of hospitality.
Well, I think it's kind of it is a white glove service, really, internally and externally. And I think that it gets lost on the big organizations. Yeah, they get used to it working, but the reality is when it's down, it's just down. And if you've ever had that and you're like, ugh, it's annoying, you understand it. But there's nothing the front desk can do. There's nobody they can call. They can't fix the access point or whatever it is. There's just no doing that. But then you get, and it really is kind of you know, a competitive advantage for you in that, as a smaller organization, not being one of the Hiltons or Marriotts, you can, really provide this very specialized and enjoyable experience that is much, I don't know, I'd say more hands-on, more of a white glove service than a large chain. And that's because you've got that IT that's right there. And if something's wrong, boom, they're going to call you, or they're going to call IT, and they're going to expect somebody to come in, even though it's 1 o'clock in the morning because things are down. They need to be up, right? So I think that's huge.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I would have to say that a good portion of my job is just making other people feel comfortable and confident.
Yeah.
We do have a conference center upstairs. I believe it's a 12-room conference center. And with that, we have plenty of companies. And I'll tell you, when they come in, we love to do testing days. We'll have our vendors come in, our contracts come in a day or two before their event so they can plug in their computer, make sure the adapters work, run through a quick thing with their PowerPoint presentation to make sure that it fills the screen correctly or that it's exactly what they were looking for. And we really just help provide that confidence day of, right? So they know when they get there, they can focus on the more important aspects of their meeting, of their presentation, and not worry about, do I have the right adapter? Is my slide advancer going to work at the time? We take care of all that, and we do it, as you said, with that white glove service. But less so to advertise that white glove service and more so to give that confidence to people, to be able to say that there is someone there, no worries. It's not that we have to pick up a phone and wait to grab a hold of whoever it is from wherever they are, that
Hmm.
someone from the building will be right up to come see you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that's what gets people booking again, right? So those businesses are going to come back because it wasn't that they just had a nice space in the right location. I'm sure there are other, conference rooms in the area that they could have also gone to. But when they do come and things just work nicely and they're taken care of, and when there is a problem, it's handled beautifully. I think that's a big difference between going to a big corporate place that I don't know, somebody here might know about that. Let me go find them. Totally different versus the experience that you give them there. So I think that's great. But speaking of experience and kind of the hospitality thing, and on IT, I'm really curious about how you see AI playing into all of this, right? Because I think it's a really interesting thing, and it's a fun thought experiment to kind of think it through, and where does this all go? And I and when you think about things like McDonald's, becoming more self-serve, and eventually I think we're going to see things like that being fully autonomous. And I think McDonald's is probably going to be leading the charge and stuff like that, or in that experiment. They're going to be the ones testing, and I think they already are, these fully autonomous, McDonald's restaurants that are, pumping out burgers, and you just go in, boom, order it on your app, it shows up in the window, pick it up, great, off you go. This is going to be really interesting when it comes to hotels. So I'm really curious about from your vantage point, kind of where we are with AI and technology in hospitality, and where you see it going.
You know, you brought up some really great topics there and really personal ones because not only does it fit into the scope of my career in the hospitality world, it fits into the scope of the technology side too. Again, those are two things that don't always mix together. So finding technology and hospitality is kind of that nerd thing for me, at least on that level. I remember going to the CFO of the company when ChatGPT was first released as a public thing for people to be able to sign up and utilize. And we were talking about the hypothetical what ifs, where it could be. And I think the part that really took us all by surprise was just how quickly news started to come out about the different industries that were being touched. If I remember correctly, one of the first industries that got touched was like the script writing, I heard some things about lawyers and wanting to use large language models to replace lawyers and stuff like that. And it's amazing just how fast it moved. And whatever thoughts we had on those first couple of days, whatever conversation we had was far surpassed. And I don't think I can even possibly imagine the Jetsons sci-fi reality that might just be a few years down the road. The growth is so exponential. I'm almost I'm almost a little afraid to try to think about it because I'm gonna be wrong. Like it's going to surprise us all. Um, and as far as the utilizing that AI in the hospitality for food and stuff, I've seen that even well before AI even crept up into the space. I believe it was 2015. Uh, but I better get this right. My wife is going to kill me. We were on our honeymoon and we went to the World's Fair in Milan. So it was
Goodness.
2015. I'll say that with more confidence. I got you, baby. So 2015, we're in Milan for the World's Fair. And the World's Fair that year was about food sustainability. And I don't know if you've ever had a chance to be at the World's Fair. I don't think the United States hosts them anymore, although there was a United States add-on, kind of, I don't know what I call them. This will be one of the parts we edit out.
I kind of like
Um,
the idea of keeping it in now.
So the United States had their own little booth about sustainability, food, and what it is that they do, on the farming side of things. But one of the things that I did see from a bunch of different countries and what was out there, especially Japan, was a wholly animated restaurant. And it was in 2015 at the World's Fair. Me and my wife walked up to a kiosk, pushed a few buttons, and food came out on a conveyor belt. Now, we were told there was no people in the back preparing the foods. It was all done, automatically,
Mhm.
robotically, and all done just without human intervention. And I mean, the food was good, the service was fine, it was quick enough. But I think what's missing there is that term hospitality, right? Um, Hospitality is a big thing. And I believe hospitality is that white glove service, is that person to person connectivity. I've seen a lot of sci-fi shows. I've seen a lot of sci-fi movies over the years where there's like robots. Speaking of the Jetsons, right?
Yep.
She they had the robot. What was her name?
Was it Alice?
Alice. Yes, Alice would go around and help out and be as helpful and hospitable as possible. But not every human took that interaction as hospitality, right? So there is definitely a definition of hospitality there that includes the human aspect of it, the person to person. And I'm really interested to see how that does grow and how that does change as language does change over time. As in the past 50 years, we've added a ton of computer terms to language all over the world, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how AI can add to it, can change that conversation, can kind of, mold and grow those lessons that we learn of hospitality and the person to person. But I see it already at our doorstep. It's just who's going to be the gunslinger to go out there and put the investment where it needs to be. I think people are ready for it. I hate to say, especially after the pandemic, where people got more comfortable being at home or self checkouts and doing things for themselves and kind of moving that bar. So I can definitely see it kind of running away and taking off rather quickly if we get the right people to invest in it and move it forward.
I think the interesting part for me, I think the initial knee-jerk reaction for most people was oh shit, AI is coming to take my job, right? And I think a lot of people got scared, and I think that's been true of every technological advancement that we've ever seen. Down to the typewriter, even back to the typewriter. It was like, there goes handwriting, there goes, this is, and it was, and sure, it did displace jobs, but it created so many more. And we saw that with the typewriter. You see that with the internet. You see that with everything. It creates more jobs. And I think as you look at AI through that lens of, wait, this every technology we've ever had has created more jobs. It's empowered us to do more and do more of the things that we enjoy that are more human, right? Every single time it's allowed us to have more food, have more comfort, have more everything, have more time, and do more, human interactions, which I know people will be like, but what about social media? Okay, the people are choosing to do that with their time. They're not out in the fields, having to gather food all day, just so that they can eat, right? Now you can push a button and food will come to you for most of the people, who are, I'm certainly everybody who's listening to this, right? So I think interestingly, when you look at it through that lens of, wait, this is going to supplement and make things better, and then you add the filter of hospitality, and as you mentioned, the self check-in and self checkout, which we do all the time, and then you've got the hotel key right on your room key right on your phone, which is very convenient. It does make you wonder. I don't see it being a thing where I would enjoy the thought of going into a place where it is just this cold edifice where you go into this building, it's all computer run. You check into your room and there's no humanness. It seems cold and aloof, even if there were, say, robots or something. So I don't think it replaces human so much as kind of empowers them to do more so that one person could do the job of 10 people in the hotel. You might have one person in the kitchen who can now, produce all the food, or one person, they're just running the food, from, place to place, right? So you're using fewer people, but you can get a lot more done. I don't know, but I'm kind of curious, like, because you guys are at a um, very hands-on kind of that small uh, hospitality situation where it's not a big corporate. So people want that and expect it even more there. You want the human experience. I'm really curious kind of where you think it might fit in the interim. Let's not go long distance, but in the interim, what happens there is AI something where it supercharges the check-in process or the speaking with the front desk because you've got this supercharged app and it's now mostly AI powered and it only asks the human when it needs, a human to do something. Where do you see this going? Or is there any sign of it going that in that direction?
You brought up a lot of really great and interesting points there. And I mean, we're almost there now. So when you talk about not wanting to go too far into the future, I mean, we're there now. Without AI, you brought it up. There are some places that are so technologically advanced that as soon as you walk into the hotel with your phone, it recognizes that you're in the hotel. It'll pull up and let you check in right from the phone. Your phone could be turned into your room key. You go right into the room, no human interaction whatsoever, if that's the kind of thing you're into. I believe what it's doing, and what most people forget about, at least during the discussion phase of it, is the choice that goes behind it. Now we have a choice, right? And whether that choice becomes ultimately a hobby or an enthusiastic or an enthusiasm thing, it really depends on the industry. Right here, like right next to my desk, I carry it with me all the time. I have a disposable fountain pen. And I love writing. I love signing things with my fountain pen. It's not a fancy one, it's a disposable fountain pen. But if you think about it, before the photocopier, before the whatever, people's jobs, a real job, was a transcriptor, someone who would just write as beautiful handwriting as they could. They would write books by hand,
Yep.
right? Those jobs went away, but that skill never went away. Calligraphy is still a skill that millions of people learn, take classes for. There's an entire industry for people to teach it, for people to learn it, for people to use it, for even on the digital side of calligraphy, when you talk about marketing and digital marketing and things of that
Yeah.
nature. So, where the technology almost made people feel like it destroyed their field, it just added a new choice, and you have now multiple options. And I think that's what we're going to see is we're going to start seeing multiple options. The people who are more comfortable not dealing with other people who just want to get in and out and get what they need can lean heavily into the technology, and it's there for them, and they can be as comfortable as they want going through. The people who don't and still want a person and be able to talk on the phone and shake someone's hand or get a quick explanation, they can have that too. And it doesn't really, one doesn't hinder the other, they only help each other out.
Yeah.
Instead of there being only one answer and now you have a line of people waiting for that one human, well, now there's a kiosk over here or this over there, or you could just walk in with your phone. Now that line is cut in half, maybe a third, right? So
Yeah.
now the people who do want that human interaction, they get it easier, they get it faster, they get it more personable. The human on the other side of the counter, our staff, our employees, they're calmer, they're happier, there's less people, there's less busy time, they don't feel so rushed or whatever, they can take an extra moment with that person. I feel the option is going to be the biggest part, and the thing that we forget about the most when we have conversations like this.
Yeah. I think you're spot on. And I think the thing that people are missing, and I love the calligraphy, example, because I think it's spot on. Those when you look at the future and you really fast forward, I don't think it's one of these kind of Wall-E type futures where people are sitting around, just being fed and they don't do anything. I think that what ends up happening is that the AI and robots end up doing all of the they're really good the things that they're really good at and the things that people aren't good at, right? For instance, you don't do math, right? That'd be ridiculous. Even simple math, we use a calculator. We let the computer do all that stuff. It's really good at it.
Yep.
But at no point in time, at any point in the future, will we want to watch a robot um, perform Shakespeare over a human being. That's never going to happen, right? It doesn't even make sense. It might be an interesting thing to see once, and you're like, oh, that's super cool. Robots do very realistic and fantastic performance. So what? There's no soul in it. You'll watch it one time and be done. It's a party trick, right? It's not the future, right? It's an interesting thing, but that's it. And so I think that we're going to see a rise in the artisans, the artists, the craftsmen, all of these things where, people now, interestingly enough, content creators, when you're like, kid, you can't be a YouTube, content creator. That's not a future. It might actually be, a very, very viable future. I mean, it clearly is for some people, but realistically, in the future, the actors, the singers, the artists, I think we're going to see a resurgence, and people are going to be more into that as AI comes up and does all these other things, freeing up a lot of other jobs, right? So I think that's going to be really interesting because you'll never want, a watch that's created by some people want the cheap watch that's created by purely fabricated. But the people who are into watches are going to want those watches that were created by a human that went through the experience, and it's that old school human thing, right? So I think it's really interesting where that's going to split off in the future, where you're going to see the AI and doing those things, like even driving cars. Like it's ridiculous now. I don't know if you have a Tesla or if you've been in it lately. It's ridiculous. It's like living in the future. The car's driving itself down the road, taking turns, stopping at stop signs, not killing the bicyclist who jets in front of you. It's wild, right? And so you get this glimpse of the Jetsons' future, and it's like, I can't wait to never drive again. This is, but at the
Right.
same time, there are people who are going to love driving, and they're like, no, I always want to have, totally, as you said, now you get the choice. When you want to hop in your sports car and and enjoy it, you get to. But when you want to just go and be taken to your place and you can work, you're going to get to do that too. I
Right.
think you nailed it. It's about choice in the future.
It's about choice and it's about that option. Now, I've never owned a Tesla. I've driven plenty of them. We actually here at Normandy Farm, we were the first Tesla charging stations in the state of Pennsylvania that weren't
Nice.
part of the dealership network.
Yeah, yeah.
Very early on, I reached out to Tesla, and with the help of our on-staff electrician, we have a lot of on-staff things here that most places don't. So
That's
I
awesome.
reached out to our on-staff electrician to find out if he could do it, and we had set up the first charging stations in the state of Pennsylvania, again, just to put us on that map.
I love that.
And we have a very great working relationship with Tesla. When they came out with their new level 3 chargers, we have them outside. We got everything upgraded. So yes, that those options are there, but again, it just focuses right back on the options. When I was a kid, the answer was you're never going to get rich playing video games. Stop playing video games, put that Nintendo controller down. But
Uh-huh.
I didn't care how hard Metroid was. I was still going for that final battle, right? Like,
That's right.
and now we see that, e-games is a very serious industry. I mean, $1 billion industry. And there are e-athletes,
Yeah.
e-professional athletes, right? And not just skilled at what they do playing video games, but skilled in what they do as far as marketing goes, as far as dealing with other vendors and getting contracts for licenses and things of that nature. I mean, it just pushes it forward. And again, that's just another option. That's just another road. Hey, if you're good at playing video games, you can make money doing it. If you're good at, you know, uh, I, I say it all the time. Here in America, we're very lucky in that way to have those options. If you're passionate about sleeping, you can get a job as a mattress tester for CERTA, and you can get paid to sleep on a mattress if that's really where your passions lie. And this is the
Nice.
exciting part about technology, and one of the reasons why after 20, 30 years, I still find myself in this field. You can't imagine what is going to happen in the future, the options you're going to have, the abilities that you can do, the choices that you have to make that you don't have today, that you never thought you were going to have when you were 10 years old playing Metroid on an NES, right? Like you never thought, oh my God, one day people are going to get paid billions of dollars to play video games, or the Fortnite streamer of the year makes 20 million bucks or whatever it is. We would have never thought of that. It,
Yeah.
it wouldn't even, my parents are just focus on your job, go to school, learn what you got to learn, get away from the video games. They're never going to help you.
Yep.
Same with the streamers today, and same with whatever tomorrow brings.
Yep.
But there will be something tomorrow. My 9-year-old son is going to be told something, right? At some point that, oh, there's no money in that. There's no future in that. There's no seriousness in that, but it becomes it. And it gives us those options and those choices as we grow into technology.
Oh, very well said. You know what? I think we could do this all day, especially when it comes to AI. And Stephen, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing your insights with us. But before we go, can you tell everybody where they can find out more about you and more about Hansen Properties?
Sure. Our main site is going to be normandyfarm.com. Let me double check that for us just to make sure I'm not giving anybody the wrong. Yes, so we are normandyfarm.com. We are also the farmersdaughterpa.com and bluebellcc.com. So the three major things that we run here is the Normandy Farm Hotel in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, the Bluebell Country Club, which is right across the street. It's our sister site. Um, we do tremendous amount of events, weddings, funerals, sadly, and everything in between. And we also have the Farmer's Daughter, which is our main restaurant here at Normandy Farm Hotel. Um, we take a lot of great pride in the history that we have and the future that we're building.
I love it. Stephen, thanks so much for coming on. And until next time,
Matthew, it's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you for the honor.
you got it.
Thanks for listening to the Cyber Business Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.